What is up, guys? It is Jacob from Quad Hunting, and this is the Pistons Weekly. That's not really weekly. Yeah. So, I know I said I wanted to do these every week, and I do. This is finals week, though, so I had to kind of take it easy and slow down on these YouTube videos. But anyways, got coming back with another Pistons video. Last time we talked, the Pistons were 6-9, and on the bad end of a 4-game losing streak. Yeah, I guess every losing streak's a bad end to be on. But they turned it around these last 10 games. It's been 10 games since we've last talked, and they're doing pretty well now. They've turned it around, won 7 of the last 10. They're 7-3 in the last 10. But yeah, in most of their games, they're winning. They're doing really well. They're winning big usually in these games. There haven't been a lot of close games in the last 10 games. The offense has stepped up. Sometimes some of the games we're going to talk about, something didn't go right and missing too many shots, that kind of stuff. Looks like it's getting weird. Good news though is Reggie Jackson's come back in the last 10 games. That's what we needed. Well, Ish Smith hasn't been bad. It's Reggie Jackson. He's better. That's what we signed him to be. A good point guard. Ish Smith is a good backup point guard. That's what we signed him to be, was a backup. Reggie traded and signed to be a starting point guard. And we had a trade to talk about a little bit at the end of the video, so that's all coming up in the Pistons Weekly. So as I said earlier, we're coming off a 4-game losing streak at the when we did the last Pistons Weekly, and we're 7-3 since then. We're made our record better, improved our record, as I meant to say. At now we're 13-12, which is good enough for 7th in the conference right now. We'd get the 7th seed. Still not good enough. We need to work up there. We don't want to be facing any LeBron-led team early. So, I mean, they could still finish 2nd in the conference, and we need to not do that. Anyways, we beat the Heat at home, beat the Clippers at home. We lost to the Thunder away. We beat the Hornets away, the Celtics away, and the Magic away. We were on a 3-game winning streak away from the Palace, which is huge. We were doing awful away in the beginning of the season, and we turned it around. Didn't really do great at the Palace, but we did pretty good away. Lost to the Magic at home. Beat the Bulls away. Lost to the Hornets away. And then we beat the Timberwolves away. So we were away from... Oh, no, beat the Bulls at home. We beat the Bulls at home. I can't remember if I said that or not. Anyways, I'm going to re-emphasize. We beat the Bulls at home. But in these wins, 107-84, 108-97, 112-89, 121-114, 121-85, 102-91, 117-90. We're like, the games we win, we're getting into the hundreds. And we have a decent lead. I mean, the closest lead I'm seeing was a 7-point lead against the Celtics at Boston. 7 points. We were 121-114. These games are not really close. We have the ability to get into the hundreds, have a good scoring offense. But like in some of these games, the games we lost, like 88 points to 106, 92 points to 98, 77 points to 87. When the offense doesn't show up, it's ugly. Like, I mean, besides 92 to 98, that's not bad. I mean, you want, like, usually it's the hundreds is where a good offense is. So 92 isn't awful. It's good for an off night, but I mean, like, the games we're winning, we're scoring in the hundreds, and that's huge. So when our offense is clicking, they're a good offense. When they're not, they're kind of ugly to watch. So, like I said, we're 7-3 the last 10 games, puts us at 13-12, 7th seed. Tobias Harris right now is still leading the Pistons in points per game at 16.8. Drummond is right behind him with 15. KCP is there at 14.5, about 14.5. Marcus Morris is at 14, and Reggie Jackson in the 4 games he's been back is at 12.8. John Lewis is awesome off the bench, getting 10 points a game, 10.5 points a game. But other than that, I mean, Ben Utero is doing all right. Aaron Baines is doing good. Ish Smith is also getting 10, but he has been starting most of this season so far, besides the last 4 games. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of been ugly. Stanley Johnson, he has not been looking good. He's only averaging 3.3 points a game. got reassigned to the D League, where tonight, of course, he blows up and scores 26 points. Yeah. So hopefully he's finding his groove. Young player. I understand he is a young player. Was the youngest drafted in his year he got drafted. So you don't want to give up on him right away. He's not a bust yet. I don't want to hear Stanley Johnson a bust. Give him a little bit of time. He's 20. Yeah, I think 20 years old still. He's younger than me. So give the kid some time. I fully believe he could be a superstar. Maybe not superstar, but he'll be good. He'll be good for the Pistons in the future. Unless the story's been getting around. Started off with just one guy who talked about it, and then it got talked about by a Pistons beat writer and some Pistons news organizations and some Pacers news organizations, and now it's hitting the NBA level. It works on ESPN's trade machine, and so of course I'm going to talk about a trade. Anyways, this rumor's been floating. Put all the stock in it you want. It's a rumor. I'm putting that out there. It's something that someone made up, and now is gaining traction. It has not been confirmed by either sides, the Pacers or the Pistons, this trade. So take it with a grain of salt. I think it's just interesting to talk about. There's talk of Paul George being traded to the Pistons. Now, this is what the Pistons would be giving up in this trade that this guy made up. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Stanley Johnson, Tobias Harris, a 2017 unprotected first-rounder, which means we lose our first-rounder no matter what this year, a 2018 second-round pick, and then a protected 2000. I can't remember if it's a top 15, top 3, whatever, but it's a protected 2019 first-round pick for Paul George and Monta Ellis. Now, I know when I first heard it, I thought that was a lot. I thought that was an insane amount for Paul George. But when you start thinking about it, Paul George is probably borderline top 10. He is still a young guy at 26 years old, and he's been in the NBA forever. I was very surprised to find out he's still, I don't even think he's 26. I think he's still younger than 26. But I know 26. I heard on the radio with some guys talking about this and talking about how if we had Paul George, all of our top players would be under 26 years old, our big three anyways. So I started thinking about this trade more. So when I first started, I'm like, oh, that's way too much. That's way too much to give up for Paul George. But I started thinking about it. Paul George this year makes $17 million. Next year makes $18 million. And the year after makes $19 million. So he's locked up from now for 2 years after this. It's not bad. With the cap being risen as much as it is, that's a steal. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope alone wants $20 million next year. So when you put that in perspective, it's a little better. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is nowhere near the level of a Paul George. And as much as I love Tobias Harris, Paul George is a better shooter, better on offense, and he has a better defensive game than Tobias Harris probably ever will. So coming around to it a little more, Stanley Johnson, though, was the part that it kind of hurts. He's a young guy. Everyone's talking about, well, he's not doing it this year. Again, he's a young guy. You don't just give up on a guy if he's not showing up for not even half of a season. It's not even a quarter of the season. We're about a quarter of a way into the season, and everyone's like, oh, he's not showing up. He's been reassigned to the D-League. He's not getting playing time for Stan Van Gundy. Stan Van Gundy must not be liking what he's seeing. Well, yeah, he's a young guy. You got to give him some time to develop and grow. So that's the one part that I'm like, he's too much of an unknown for me yet to trade him off. If he turns out to be a bust, then yeah, this trade was brilliant. But if he turns out to be the next Kawhi Leonard, that type of player, then you're like, ooh, that was not a good trade. But the picks don't scare me at all. If the Pistons are as good as everyone projects them to be, that'll be like those picks will be the bottom teens, high 20s area. Will be a lottery. They won't be lottery. They will definitely be the playoff rounds. Those areas in the draft. So then I start thinking about it, and I'm like, well, especially if we have Paul George. Like I said, he's borderline top 10. The Pacers, when they were assembled with Frank Vogel as their head coach, they were giving the Miami Heat back when it was LeBron, D. Wade, and Bosh. They were giving them a run for their money in those Eastern Conference Finals. So and those teams were led by Paul George as their best player. So I can remember Horford. No, not Horford. Hibbert. Hibbert's the only other name, and David West. Those are the only other names I can remember from those Pacer teams. So Paul George, I mean, borderline top 10. I mean, you put him in there with Reggie Jackson and a Andre Drummond and a Marcus Morris. I mean, Monta Ellis would then move into your starting shooting guard. I'm not sold on Ellis either, but he can light it up when he wants to and needs to. So, damn, my eye itches. Sorry, but I think I'd make this deal. I mean, at first, like I said, I thought it was crazy. But this imaginary deal that I'm taking time to talk about. I would do it. I mean, I don't think the Pacers would get rid of Paul George. I mean, I don't know why you would. He's a guy to build a team around. But if he's available, I would want the Pistons to grab him. That's all I'm saying. So, like I said, I mean, giving up a KCP, he's a good defender. He's just too inconsistent on the offensive side. And for $20 million, I don't know if that's worth it. I mean, yeah, everyone's like, well, the cap's going up. But I'm hesitant to give him that money. Like I said, Stanley is my one sticking point. I don't know what Stanley's going to be. I like Stanley. I think he's young. He's got potential. He just needs time to develop. I mean, basketball is the only sport where you get these guys coming in at 19 years old and expecting to contribute right away. Pistons didn't really expect him to contribute. The fans wanted him to be like this. They're like, oh, second year. He's going to come out. He's going to blow it up. But he's just not doing it so far. I mean, I'm not too disappointed in it. The team's still doing all right. I mean, he's a young guy. Give him time. He's not the next Darko. Like I said, Tobias is just not as good offensively or defensively as Paul George is. So I love Tobias, though. He is probably my favorite Piston right now behind Drummond. So, I mean, that's just an interesting thing to talk about. I think we would move up. Some people were saying we'd be the definite number 2 best team in the East after the Cavs. I don't know about that. The Celtics are looking all right. I mean, you got to wait till the end of the season to really put who's the second best to the Cavs. I mean, the Cavs are number 1. I mean, any team LeBron's on is going to be the best team in the East. So, yeah, I mean, that's this week we went over those games. Coming up, what's coming up? We have 76ers. We have 76ers tomorrow, or today. It's after midnight I'm recording this. We have the Mavericks on Wednesday, the Wizards on Friday, and then the Pacers on Saturday. Who do we play? We play the 23rd and the 26th. I wanted to see the Christmas. Yeah, Friday the 23rd, we play the Golden State Warriors. Woo! That's not going to be... that's going to be ugly. And then we play the Cavs the day after Christmas. The 2 best teams in the NBA, we play back-to-back. Thank God we don't have the Spurs somewhere in there. Whew, that'd be ugly. But, yeah, they're doing good. 7-3 the last 10, 13-12 overall, 7th seed. I'd love to see us keep building that. And with the 76ers, the Spurs, the Mavericks, the Pacers, and the Wizards all this week, we could easily improve the record. So, if you like the video, leave a like, leave some comments, subscribe to my channel maybe. But anyways, have a good rest of your day, good rest of your week, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye.